Let's start digging right into the biggest problem that we all face. And the biggest problem is that content grows over time. You might have a project site or a departmental portal or various other spaces that exist today, and those spaces grow and grow and grow. And this becomes really challenging for users to make sense of and understand. And we'll talk about specific examples that are very problematic with Microsoft Teams as an example today.
Lead is a remote-first company based out of Canada.
What makes a world-class Microsoft 365 Intranet and Digital Workplace?
So if this is the challenge, the main challenge we're all running into, this sprawl that's unmanaged, how do we take this intranet and digital workplace pattern that we all are working through and apply it to solve this problem? And that is essentially the trick, right? Your digital hub of your digital workplace is essentially what the intranet is today. So let's dig into what a modern digital hub might do. One of the things it has to do very well, this is the number one purpose of an intranet, is to help users navigate to the resources and places and spaces and things that they need. So essentially is a key navigation tool within the enterprise. And if your organization doesn't have an intranet, then you're missing this very important navigation aid. So how do world-class organizations approach navigation? Well, first let's talk about what's available out of the box. Out of the box, you actually have this thing called the SharePoint Home. You may not have been to it before, but essentially what it allows for is it gives users the ability to bookmark and see all the sites that they've bookmarked or saved and favorited. It also allows them to see the recent sites they visited. So I have recent and frequent being popular and recent, a bit of a AI or behavior-based insight around me. And between those two dynamic navigation nodes, I have ways to explore navigation that I didn't have before. Think of your own intranet or your previous intranet. A lot of times what you have is departments, and then I have a bunch of departmental links, and then you click on those, they go to these landing pages, which are essentially table of content pages that allow you to explore other places. What this is it's meaningfully different. What's happening here is there's no curation. It's not like someone's going and manually adding these links. These links are happening because I'm working in the system, and as I work in the system, it's suggesting these links, right? These are the recent sites or Microsoft Teams I recently visited. I was recently working in these spaces. It's the same thing with frequent. And you'll even see in the bottom here that it doesn't just show the site, but it actually shows the activity you recently did. So if I want to jump back to a particular document, or if there's a document that's really popular between my work group, I can see that at a glance and dive right from here into that document. This is a navigation aid dream, because what it does is it adds dynamism, it adds personalization, it's extremely hyper-targeted to you as a user and how you work, and that makes this extremely valuable. So is this world-class? You betcha. The problem with this is it's unfortunately hidden. Most users don't even know that this exists. It's in there if you click on the SharePoint word, or if you click on the app launcher, sometimes they call it the waffle, and you click on SharePoint. It's the SharePoint home where this experience is. And so this can be a problem, right? If this is a great experience, but it's hidden, does it really add the value we need? So let's take it a step further. Let's think about how out-of-the-box navigation works. Unfortunately, out-of-the-box navigation is static. It's not dynamic. It doesn't take any of these great ideas that the SharePoint Home does and bring it into the experience. Not only is it not dynamic, but it's actually a pretty basic design. It's a sectional layout design that allows for a hub or a site to have this sort of mega menu design. But if you wanted a global navigation, essentially you have had multiple hubs, it becomes very problematic to use the out-of-the-box navigation. Not only that, but as mentioned, this navigation really isn't world-class. It's kind of bare bones. So if you're a small organization, you might be able to get away with using the out-of-the-box mega menu. But for most organizations, while this is necessary, especially for particular pages and subcategories, it's really not at the global or organizational level what they need. So here's an example where we take the SharePoint Home experience we talked about earlier, right, where we have frequent and recent and all these dynamic navigation tools, and we bring it into the top navigation. In this example, what we're seeing here is that followed and recent, where if you click on those or hover over them, there's lots of ways you could do this design, it would then show those links. Now, these are just links. We could just as easily show the same kind of interface that you saw before, but there's lots of ways to stylistically design this. Here you see a very simple example of a lock icon that denotes something for end users. It could just as easily be a Microsoft Teams icon, where if you click on that, it goes to the Microsoft team. If you click on the name of the site, it goes to SharePoint, let's say, on the sort of dashboard and key page of the site. There's lots of other ways that you can tweak this design. So there's an advantage here. If we bring SharePoint capabilities like that dynamic navigation into the global nav, all of a sudden users, no matter where they are, I'm in a project site, I'm in a departmental portal, I'm in the homepage, no matter where I am within the Intranet and Digital Workplace, I can just click at the top and be able to quickly navigate to the other spaces that I want to participate in or support. Not only is it useful for that mechanism, but because you can control the styling, as I mentioned, you can add additional capabilities that unfortunately the SharePoint home experience doesn't provide. Now you might be thinking, oh, that sounds like a lot of work. It's not, because actually the work is done for Microsoft. Microsoft already built the graph calls, all that stuff you saw in SharePoint Home is already there. You just need to take advantage of it. What's more is if we look at this from a different perspective, this is only the tip of the iceberg. Here, what we've shown is sort of dynamic directory navigation, right, based on your user behavior. Today's session is going to be about what makes a world-class Microsoft 365 Intranet and Digital Workplace. We're going to be covering a lot today, so if you haven't heard me or seen me present before, be ready for a pretty brisk pace, kind of drinking from the fire hose. Today, if you have any questions, you can ask them within the webinar itself in Microsoft Teams. Alternatively, you can always send an email or reach out and we can have a one-on-one discussion, because of course these kinds of sessions are great, but they're not very prescriptive because I can't understand exactly your current state, whereas if we had a one-on-one call, we could dig in a little bit deeper. In addition to that, I do want to highlight that the slides are available on SlideShare right now, and there will be a recording of this webinar available. And if you're one of the people who are listening to the recording, thanks for giving us some time today. So with that,